Good morning and thanks for joining me here on Joy News Interactive. Today there's pressure on President Akufo-Addo to respond or take action on the discriminatory comments made by Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa. We'll be speaking to the Vice President of GASOJA, that's Ghanaians living in Johannesburg, Gajosa, I beg your pardon, Ghanaians living in Johannesburg and surrounding areas. We will also have a conversation on MP absenteeism. Yesterday, Speaker Michael Quinn met only seven MPs out of the 275 members, and he's peeved. And on our Wednesday Tech Trends, Kobe Nkrumah will be telling us how to protect ourselves from online predators who can see whatever you're doing, even if your webcam is off. You don't want to miss any part of today's show. Here's how to join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. Our name is Joy News on TV. The various issues we are discussing there are posted on Facebook. You can also tweet at us, and we'll be glad to share your comments with the rest of the world. Remember, we're also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. We're also live streaming on Facebook. Now, let's move to today's topic, or the first topic we're discussing today. There's pressure mounting on President Akufo-Addo to take action on the issue involving discriminatory comments made by Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, George A.C. Boateng. Ghanaians living in Johannesburg and surrounding areas responded to those comments with many appeals. Now, their Vice President, Desmond Clenham, is joining us via Skype live from South Africa. Thanks, Desmond Clenham, for joining me.
Hello.
Great, it's good to have you. And now your association has been around for some 20 years. I'm talking about Gajosa, Ghanaians living in Johannesburg and surrounding areas. Have you ever had reason, Desmond, to respond to an issue like this?
No. First of all, I also want to thank your listeners. And this is the first of its kind. So we thought that we have to actually react to this unfortunate statement made by our High Commissioner to South Africa.
So Desmond, what does Gajosa want the president to do? Exactly what do you want him to do?
Okay, I think this is an opportunity for the president to show leadership. And secondly, he should be able to tell the Ghanaian communities in the diaspora, especially in South Africa, that he is going to be a father for all. And that is all that we expect. It's an opportunity for him to actually show leadership, because I think that is something that I think is actually lacking. Because as I speak to you now, our group members are leaving the group because of the divisiveness of the comments made by the High Commissioner, which is rather unfortunate. And as I speak to you now, 3 weeks ago, we had a meeting with about 13 splinter groups of Ghanaian community, and we are trying to consolidate and then form a national Ghanaian community in South Africa. And since the incident, we've been receiving comments that says that, but you say we are apolitical, how come we are having all kinds of fraction among us? And I think this is not good for development. Because if Ghana is going to develop, we need all of its men and women, able men and women, which should be devoid of political and ethnic extraction.
All right. Now, Desmond, there was quite a lengthy response from your association, but let me just read an extract from your written response. I quote, "Since Honorable A.C. Boateng got to South Africa, we've not heard him make any public pronouncement on the insurgence of xenophobic attacks on most Ghanaians and other African nationals. But he has the nerve to state that he's here to work for MPP supporters and sympathizers." Does this suggest that you haven't had any contact with the High Commissioner since he was appointed?
Actually, we sent him a message, and then one of the groups had actually invited him for a meeting, which I think he declined because of other reasons. So we've not actually had opportunity to meet him in person. But let me put it on record that for having been in South Africa for 7 years, we've had the opportunity of meeting the then acting High Commissioner, the one that is to the UN now. I think it's Mary Poby, if I'm not mistaken. And also, we also paid a courtesy call to the former ambassador, that is Kwesi Ahoy. So we actually have a good relationship. And what Gajosa normally do, because we are students and then staff, we try to bring the High Commission to campus. We are based at VETS and then in UJ. So we bring the High Commission to campus to come and tell us and address us. And the idea is that people have this this idea that people Ghanaians living abroad don't want to relate with their High Commission. And so we are also trying hard to see how best we can help the Ghana High Commission so that we can have a front that can deal with our issues, especially in the wake of those xenophobic attacks. We had people calling us, and then we have to relay their cause to their various places. And I must also put on record that there was once a time that we actually got people to actually register online that they are actually in Johannesburg, which we've tried to do. So we have a good working relationship. Even if you go to the Ghana High Commission, their website, Gajosa is boldly there. We are very visible.
All right, Desmond, let me just say finally, with reference to your written response, you asked that the President and the Foreign Minister reorient Mr. Or His Excellency Yisi Boateng, because you believe he's not too sure of what his mandate is.
Currently, I think that we still hold that stance, because he should know better. Because if you are a High Commissioner, you need to speak to all Ghanaians living in the diaspora. And I think that for him to say he's here to work for NPP people do not really sound well, because in as much as politics is about ideas, after the politics, after the context, we need to come back together and build. And you need all the resources, the human and then the natural resources that you can pull together. So if we cannot put together and have a formidable force, then I think we're going nowhere. And there is a proverb that says that if a broom and one broom can be broken, but if they are together, they stand a chance of pulling out something great. So I felt that if we pull all the resources that we have together, we can actually do better, so that we will not be faced with this kakistocratic regime, where we have Africa is bedeviled with government of least qualified. People believe that people who are in power don't have ideas, and those who have ideas don't have power. And if we have to shift from there and cement our democratic credentials as we have in Africa, it means we have to pull all the resources we have. And that resources means that we have to put people on non-partisan basis, because we need a non-partisan approach to address the seemingly challenges that we face as a Ghanaian. Because when you come to South Africa, you are not known as an MPP, as an NDC, CPP, PNC, you are known as a Ghanaian. And that is the umbilical cord that binds us together. So we will not allow, and we want to put on record, we will not allow anyone to use this political sentiment to separate what we are trying to build. Because we are faced with seemingly same challenges. And then we also need to address them as such.
All right. Desmond, finally, the people who are calling for his resignation or asking the President to sack His Excellency Yisi Boateng, there are others who think that he should just retract and apologize. And what we know now is that he says he stands by his words. What exactly does your group want? Do you want him to retract and apologize, or you want him sacked?
We want him to render an unqualified apology to the Ghanaian community in South Africa. And that is what we want. And we also want him to really assure us that he will work for the common good of Ghanaians. He has already stated his intent, but I don't know what the President would want to do with him. It is the President's prerogative. And we are not here to tell the President what to do or how to run the country, but we felt that he should do what is appropriate, and so that we will all have a fair share of what we are here for. Because what, like I said, is the same.
Thank you very much, Desmond Clenham. He's Vice President of Gajosa. Gajosa is the abbreviation for Ghanaians living in Johannesburg and other surrounding areas. And members of Parliament are voted for, expected to go to Parliament, debate issues, formulate laws for the country. In fact, they are paid to do that. But we've been dealing with the issue of absenteeism in Parliament for a very long time. Odikro, a civil society organization, released a report on absenteeism during the previous Parliament. And when this new Parliament started, Speaker Professor Michael Quay was blunt. He won't tolerate absenteeism. His warning doesn't seem to have achieved much. Yesterday, he met only seven MPs out of 275 of them in Parliament. You've been talking about this on Facebook, and Etiahene says, let other government workers absent themselves from work or from school, and then it will be the topic of discussion. If they absent themselves from school, it is officially normal, but not any other Ghanaian. I'm sure, Etiahene, you're mistaking work with school. That's the impression I get. Osman Dawood says, so what is the next action after the saying, will be in your chamber and keep mute. Ghanaians will be sad with all of you. You better do something to them. And that's Osman talking to the Speaker of Parliament there. Mukhtar Issa says he will soon meet an empty house because, all right, I'm not sure what he's trying to refer to there. But Nasser Hassan Yaima says, lazy representatives we have, but when the month ends, you see them rushing for taxpayers' money. And he adds, God is watching. Infum Daniel says, so what is their punishment? If it were teachers and other public sector workers, you will hear, okay, the nonsense, and these lazy MPs will say. Blessed Bonnie Gideon says, just come and sit down and plan for the nation is also hard. He sighs, Mother Ghana. Jaguar Akude says, which better work are they doing? Feeding wives and kids first? Send some sarcasm there. Charles Nanaidu says, same MPs go on air to insult teachers. Nana Kwame Edu Jemfi says, that's our MPs, ladies and gentlemen, shaking his head at his own comment. And Jenny Paul Ahmed says, gross indiscipline. Prince Owusu says, sanction them all. All right, so 2 MPs were on the AM show earlier today. Alhassan Suhini, MP for Tamale North, and George Anda, MP for Ewutu Senya West. Now, Mamavi Owusu Abuaje asked them about this issue.
Morning.
Were you in Parliament yesterday? I understand the Speaker was not particularly happy because he met about 7 people in the chamber or so.
Is that part of the subject? we sat in Parliament yesterday.
But then the number was very low.
Initially, when the Speaker walked in.
Okay, but it picked up.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what's happening?
I think we've been sitting at 12, from 12, and from this week the sitting reverted to 10 o'clock. So I think some members didn't get their timings right, but I think it's going to be corrected.
Please, were you in the chamber yesterday? What time did you get there?
I wasn't there at the time the Speaker was upset, and rightly so. I think he has been complaining about the lateness of members to the House. I don't think he's going to be the first Speaker to have made that complaint. So it tells you that it seems to be an attitude that as members we need to change. But the blame cannot squarely be put on members. Like the Honourable Deputy Minister said, since we resumed, the time for sitting has been very erratic. There are times you are sitting at 10 a.m. only for you to get to the office and be told that sitting will start at 12 midday. And there are times you expect that sitting will start at 12 midday. Like yesterday, I thought we were going to sit at 12. And so I got to Parliament at about 5 minutes past 12, only to be told that they had finished almost everything and they were now doing amendments to the coastal development bill and all that. So I went to join briefly. But I think that together we can all, ensure that we are more punctual. It will also take the leadership to give us the direction. And
well, so you heard the reasons for which these 2 MPs were not in Parliament. Not only the 2 of them, but a lot more, over 200 of them. There were only 7 out of the 275 MPs in Parliament. I'll be speaking to Ernest Ama, who is Director of Research and Content Development at Odikro. They produced a report on the last Parliament and they focused on absenteeism. I'll be finding out from him what we can do. Thank you so much for staying here on Joy News Interactive. Today, we've been talking about the ongoing issue with Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa. We spoke to Ghanaian living in South Africa, actually the Vice President of GAJOSA, that's Ghana, Ghanaians living in Johannesburg and surrounding areas, and they want him to retract and apologize. And then we talked about absenteeism in Parliament and heard from 2 MPs. They were explaining why they were not in Parliament. One said he wasn't in early. But we've got Ernest Ama, who is Director of Research and Content Development at Odikro. He's joined us via Skype. They produced a report on absenteeism in the last Parliament. Hello, Mr. Ama. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to have you. So we've been talking about this absenteeism. Your report and the Speaker of Parliament's stern warning doesn't seem to have gone down well with MPs in the House. What have we been doing wrong?
Well, I think it's a very simple issue, but I think the politics and bureaucracy in our system seeks to complicate the matter. And that's why we at Odikro, we are very much interested in opening up the processes of Parliament so that Ghanaians will have a sneak peek into what goes on into the House. This is not the first time that we've seen such tardiness on the floor of Parliament. It has happened a number of occasions, but this time around we decided to give a visual dimension to it so that the rest of Ghanaians will see that beyond the facts that we present, beyond the metrics on MPs' attendance, this is the reality in Parliament.
Well, you had some recommendations in your report. Do you know if they've been implemented?
Well, we made a number of recommendations. You know, MPs have to be in Parliament because it's part of their representational duty, and also because it ensures efficiency in our governance process. And these are functions guaranteed in the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. And it is also important for MPs to be in Parliament because then again, the Constitution requires 1/3 of MPs, that's 92 of the 275, to be in Parliament for proceedings to commence. So every time there is Parliament lacks quorum, this can delay or even rush the passage of important bills. In our last report that we did in absenteeism, what we recommended, among others, was that Parliament designs a system so that we can effectively track the attendance of MPs. We know that some MPs walk into the floor, they sign in, and then in the middle of proceedings, they leave. Because currently they are using the analog system to track attendance, it's very difficult to objectively point these issues out. So going forward, what we should do is that we should have a digital sign-in system in place that will be able to track the in and out of MPs during proceedings on the floor of Parliament.
All right, Mr. Ama, this is my final question. I am agitated. A lot of people are. The Speaker of Parliament is unhappy about this. But what do we do as citizens whose taxpayers pay these MPs anyway? Apart from getting agitated over this, what do we do?
Well, there are a number of opportunities available to citizens. The first one is that you get to follow what your MP is doing, and that's why we have to DICRO every day that Parliament sits. That's from Tuesday to Friday. We provide daily tweets on what is happening on the floor of Parliament so that citizens can follow what their MPs are doing. So this is someone you voted into office to represent your interests. So at the end of the day, you get the opportunity to assess his or her performance. And if you are satisfied, you keep him in office. If you are not, you make sure that the next elections you vote him or her out.
So, Mr. Ama, sorry to cut you, but so apart from the next election, there's nothing citizens can do about MP absenteeism.
That's also because we have limitations in our constitution and understanding orders of Parliament. In other jurisdictions, citizens have the opportunity to recall underperforming MPs. We don't have that here. You cannot recall an underperforming MP. So you can watch your MP will not be present, the House will not be working satisfactorily as your representative. But per our constitution and understanding orders of Parliament, the best opportunity you have is the next elections. You can't request an immediate recall of your MP. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ama, for joining us. He's Director of Research at Odikro, and we've been talking about MPs absenteeism, and it's a really disturbing issue. The Speaker of Parliament gave a very stern warning asking MPs to desist from that when this parliament was opened, but it looks like his advice or his stern warning hasn't gone down too well. And also because he met 7 people yesterday. I mean, 7 out of 275. That's really disturbing. You and I wake up every day to come to work. I come to work. MPs are expected to be on the floor of Parliament. Well, apart from those who may be sitting in committee meetings and all that, but I doubt that all the others, apart from the 7, were all in committee meetings. We'll be talking about this more. Hopefully, we'll get some change. You're watching Joy News Interactive. When I come back, we'll be talking tech trends. Today, Kobe will be telling you and I how to protect ourselves from online predators. Because, yes, people can track you. They can hear what you're saying. They can see what you're doing, even if your webcam is inactive. I'll be back in a minute.